All right, this is the episode. This is exciting. At the TCP podcast, the motto here is that we are all more alike than we are different. So I have with me today the host, the creator, the mentor to many, and the man, the myth, the legend, even he's become for many people, Dr. Ed Osborn. Thank you for coming in today. I am very excited about where this is going. So why don't you start by just telling us, where are you at? Where is Dr. Ed Osborn at right now in this moment in your life? And then we can get into where you're going.
Right now I have a lot of sun shining in my eyes. Maybe it's a metaphor. It's interesting, Kelly, because I was actually looking back on the very first episode. So episode 000 for TCP podcast and where I was then, and then, where I am now. And probably like a lot of the people who are listening, it's like, even over the last couple of years, we're all different, completely different people than when we were, or where we thought we would be, where we thought the world would be, a couple of years ago. So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of like in that position of like, I want to put myself in, I'm forcefully putting myself into some uncomfortable chaos, because I know from chaos, great things are created, right? Order. And I'm giving up I'm handing over the football to you as the TCP host. I kind of equate it to the the late night show, handoff, the Johnny Carson show.
Changing of the guard. That's right.
The changing of the guard. But it has to happen, right? I mean, I think everyone is going to be excited about this too. Is like having someone new and fresh come in with some new zest and ideas. And so that's where I am. I'm putting myself out there into, and really, really focusing on some other projects like side hustles I have for my business, my kids. Really, really doubled down. I did a lot of research over the last year. I'm rambling. The last year over, helping clients in our programs get better results. And now I'm just ready to double down on that as well. So I feel like I feel like it was like one of those 2 steps back kind of thing, but now I'm going 3 steps forward.
So you've done your history. You started, 8 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2015.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So 8 years ago, 400 episodes in, you've heard a million, I guess stories, over 400 anyways, different quotes, different ways to point your ship in the night. What is the one overwhelming or most prominent thought quote that is driving you right now?
Well, that's it's interesting, right? Because I'm creating something new called Bold Conversations. I don't know how that came to me, but I was like, what? I really did some research into what's a good word for putting yourself out there that's not used commonly. And so I've kind of nailed it down to Bold Conversations. And I was on the lift yesterday in sunshine, right? Because I went there for half a day. Really great snow, by the way, yesterday. And so I get on the lift, and there's these 3 guys, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go. Should we go for a beer? Should we go for a beer?" And then hit some more double blacks.
Yeah.
And one of them goes, "Well, bold. Fortune favors the bold." So I'm like, oh my God, that's the tagline. That's the quote. It's a proverb, right? I mean, fortune does favor the bold, and that word keeps coming and resonating with me. And I've always been one of those people who put all my chips in, and I wish more doctors would do that.
Okay, I love it. I'm going to write that down right now, actually, because
it'll be on T-shirts soon. Don't worry.
Right.
I'll put stickers and hats, and I'm going to put it everywhere, man. Bold. That'll be my thing. If you see me on stage, I'll be wearing a T-shirt that says bold. Be bold, man.
Be bold. We
Chiros need to be more bold. There's way too much apathy. I can get heated about this. Well,
you've had a lot of, bold conversations with Chiros, 400 of them to be exact or more. To summarize what you've seen in those past 8 years, talking with all versions within the profession, outliers that are on the edges, even assistants, helpers, people that are trying to promote the profession, even if they're not, actual chiropractors themselves. They're pushing, and and you say that as a profession, we're not bold enough.
Not even close. Not even close. You have to be like, yeah, we're pathetic as a profession, if you ask me, compared to, what we could be doing and how we could. Everyone talks about wanting to impact, like make change, right? But when it comes down to it, nobody, well, I won't say nobody, but few people actually are willing to plant a flag, take a stand, and be willing to be rejected, be willing to be hated upon. But in the same respect, the dichotomy of that is to be loved. And yeah, I don't care if you're subluxation, science-based, sports physio, chiro, physician, whatever your fucking moniker is, it doesn't matter. We're all in this together. And I get really tired of the apathy of docs just not willing to put themselves out there to save more lives. But they'll say it in their practice. They'll pin it on their wall, Kelly. We're on a mission to save lives in our community. Do they really mean it? Right? Do they really mean that? Or is it just a bunch of fucking words? Sorry, I'm in a mood today, man.
Hey, it's good. That's how you should be. So words of convenience rather than principles to live by.
Yeah. It's like, this will continue. We will continue to be a marginalized profession, and until we take a stand. And now is the time of, if there's ever been a time, it's now. People have more distrust of the medical profession, science. No one knows what to believe anymore. So who has to step in? Who has to be able to give them the truth?
100%.
Right? Allow them to know that our bodies are capable of healing. Like the philosophy, you get away from science, man. And I get it. Neuroscience, vagus nerve, whatever. It doesn't matter. But people do need the philosophy as well of like, if there was ever a time that BJ's readings and his like above, down, inside out, if there was ever a time, it's now. Right. Yeah. Otherwise we're good. Yeah. Right. It's over.
Like, it is. And what excites me about where you're going, where I'm coming into, is that there is a shift happening.
Yeah.
You started it. You had a company once called Shift Happens or Shift or something like that, right? Like,
well, I tried. I can tell you why that never happened.
Okay. Because our next topic is struggles, so that could be one of yours. But like shift, like we are going through a massive shift where everybody is looking, and there's like one profession that can stand up and say, "Holy shit, we've been saying this for 100 freaking years."
Yeah.
So I just think if there was ever a time for us to stand up as a profession, you nailed it. This is it.
Well, and I mean, look at all the medics or the people who are really prominent online that people are listening to and paying attention to. It's chiropractic philosophy. It's what we've been taught. They're taking they're taking the triad, man, and they're the triune, and they're teaching it, the 33 principles. And we're sitting here going, oh, that's chiropractic philosophy. And yet nobody is willing to step up and say, hey, you know what? We've been saying this. We've been going to jail for this. Right. And no one else is willing to step up. Well, again, few people are willing. Everyone I've seen who does step up, they eventually kind of pull back. And I'm guilty of that too at times. However, now that I'm no longer, Switzerland, I'm no longer, playing the middle ground here on the podcast because I'm no longer the host. I can have an opinion, right? So I can say, here's my opinion, a bold opinion, right? And I've had 400 conversations with a lot of chiropractors, best-selling authors, mentors, people who are, geniuses in what they do. And it's been an accumulation of almost, first thing is like learning, like a lot of free mentorship, but also an accumulation of frustration, Kelly, of just, people talking. And it's interesting too, because you and I had like a VIP day, we sat down, and this was a big realization for me too, as you and I are talking, and because I know so much that goes on behind the curtain, and your jaw was just like, what, because I know so much that is going on behind the scenes that so many other people are unwilling to see in our profession, or they're a party to it, or they're oblivious, right? They don't know. And I used to be there too. I used to be one of those people who just sat in the middle of the seats and listened to the same people on the stage over and over again. I did that. Groupie.
So over the last 8 years, give me like some highlights of some of the struggles you've had. Because I mean, prior to the 8 years, your story is legendary, right? Like what pushed you out of the profession,
right?
I mean, if you could go back that far if you'd like, but like what kind of struggles have you got into that has made you transform? Before you even answer that, just as a accolade to you, I was reaching out to somebody, and their response was that you are a legend and that you're and this is a very highly reputed person in the profession. So I was really impressed with what he was saying about you, just in that fact that you have been the mentor that has helped people to see that you can transition through struggle and emerge successful. And I thought that was a massive accolade to you. So give us a summary of your struggles you've been through, buddy.
Dude, it's like I'm like everyone, right? So honestly, it's a constant hero's journey cycle, right? So I'm in practice, I come out of school, I'm in practice, struggling. Well, actually, it was a struggle. It was a hero's journey just to get through school, chiropractic college. I graduate, suck at practice for the first 2 years, take on a mentor and, build something. 13 years in, crashes because of my health and because I was practicing in a model that wasn't congruent to me, like wasn't congruent to what my needs were, especially my health needs and my family. I mean, or values. So that crashed. And so then I build, this and people resonate. A lot of doctors resonated with that story because regardless of whether it's your physical well-being, there's a lot of docs who emotionally, so I was physically burnt out, but to a degree, emotionally, there's a lot of docs who become, emotionally burned out. There's a lot of docs who live in isolation, right? I'm in my basement, can't go anywhere, right? So that was a journey in itself. And that was I kind of almost got tired of the conversation because I feel like I kind of, birthed that and moved through it. Haven't completely healed, right, from Crohn's, but then it's like my marriage broke down, right? And I take full, my full responsibility, of how that happened. I've even done lives on this and stuff. And here's one thing I realized too, is like, people don't give a shit about my personal life. They really don't care, but I'm going to say this anyways, because it was true. Is like, I think, my ex and I, we were kind of seen as a power couple. But then when that kind of broke down, it was a surprise for a lot of people. We've moved through that. We went through what are the different phases of losing, because it's like basically the death of like losing someone, right? So you anger, grieving, all of those phases. And now we're in the phase of just like, it's, our kids are the benefactor of that. So I hope a lot of people would understand, or maybe they can understand, is that, we're both better people because of that struggle. And now, like last year, I spent a lot of time really, really looking at what I do in the laptop lifestyle and looking at, the results that people were getting or not getting, our programs in particular. What are we teaching? Is it, strategic or is it tactical? And now I have a focus like none other. Yeah. So it's been a big transition, now, and of course, now like a whole different life. I mean, I half-time dad, this, you've been through this, right? It's the 50-50 dad and full-time dad, but 50-50 parent, full-time business owner. A lot of people, rely on me for, like, we have some really big clients now that we work with, like, so there's a lot, and I'm still going to transition into probably new stuff and doing new things.
Okay. So what are you're doing a transition. Great. Give me the number one thing you're most excited about right now.
Oh, wow. Great question, man. So by the way, when someone says that and they kind of repeat that, it means they're buying time.
Buying time.
What am I most excited about? You know what I'm excited about, Kelly, is like, I don't know what the future holds. Like, and it keeps me up at night, probably like a lot of people, right? I wake up, 4 a.m. and I'm like, I don't really know where I'm going right now or what I'm doing or where I'm going to be living. And there's a certain amount of freedom and autonomy to that.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to accept it too, right? It's a blessing and a curse, I guess, in both respects. But I could go and I could live anywhere. I could work from anywhere. I could do anything. Like, so that's what I'm kind of excited about.
Pretty amazing, right? Right, yeah. Exactly. It's exciting, and there's fear associated to that in the same moment. Yeah. Right. Like, yeah. I think people need to understand there's a lot of fear out there right now, and you shouldn't try to hide it. You have to like embrace it, right? Like, you totally have to embrace that fear, because if you don't acknowledge it, right, you can harness it as for power, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to, which is clearly where you're going with it.
Yeah. And I would challenge most docs, like they don't know. If anything that we've learned over the last 2 years, they can't know what their practice is going to look like in 2 years either. So there's no way. Yeah.
No, because the world is transitioning faster than ever.
No, there's no way. Yeah.
So you had mentioned just like 30 seconds ago that there's, you've got huge clients, you've got different types of systems that you're using. If there was somebody that was trying to do a transition or even try to create that, like you had mentioned earlier about side hustles, where should they start? Like, because there's so much conflicting information out there.
Yeah, I would say, I would probably start researching. I would do the work to research and see what resonates with you. And sorry, my dog's barking. Hopefully that'll stop. She never barks either. Yeah. So I'll give you I love examples. So like when I was like looking at doing a podcast, I started listening to podcasts. It's research, right? If you're looking at doing video, YouTube, TikToks, whatever, start watching those things. Start watching who's doing it well. So do some research, and that's probably the first place to start. Definitely like communities are important now more than ever. So community and connection. So a lot of programs, mentorship are all more so not information based. Like information is like 5% of what most mentors or coaches are doing now. And it's more accountability and, mitigating expectation, things like that, keeping people focused and keeping them moving forward. Cause with technology, Google, YouTube, you could pretty much learn anything, like how to set up a sales page, how to, create email copy. We have AI now that'll write stuff for you. So it's really the connection and the human aspect of helping people stay focused is really what is, I would say, is the commodity right now too.
Okay. So what would the one success, give me the one principal success tool, that you could not do without right now, that you're using like on a daily basis to keep yourself focused?
Probably OpenAI and Jasper. So AI technology. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to be, I'm even going to do like a free workshop on it this week. And it's funny too, because I don't feel like I'm like I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in using it, but I've spent enough time, and I know you have as well. We've had this discussion, the power of it, right? But a lot of people are still just learning. They're just being introduced to it, and they don't really understand its capacity or like its capabilities. So, I'm really excited about that. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Like it's a time saver, but you have to know how to use it. You have to know how to prompt it, and you have to know how to, I call that again, humanize it. You have to be able to inject your own persona into it. Otherwise it does come off as like a 7-year-old who knows physics is writing it.
Right. Hey, did you Google does the ChatGPT know who you are?
I don't think so. No.
I think you should ask it. Write this copy as in the voice of Ed Osborn.
I tried the chiropractic philanthropist and it didn't. Yeah. I tried Dr. Ed Osborn, and I think there's like an oncologist or something in California. So but no, but that is interesting, is you can write in the voice of other people, right?
Right. Yeah. Really cool. Right. I noticed something now. I'm going to bring this up if you don't, but I'm going to ask you first. the number one tool you use for productivity.
Oh, for productivity? Oh, well, I mean, I use Trello, if that's what you mean. And I love Trello. Yeah, is that the one you're referring to? Or
No.
sticky notes?
Sticky notes. You and I had a meeting the other day, and oh my God, it was hilarious. And I didn't say anything at the time, but I adopted it. So we got
well, you got to put them
meeting,
somewhere, though. Yeah,
right?
you have to transfer that somewhere. But yeah, no, I loved sticky notes, man. I mean, I have pretty much every color of the rainbow, so and they all have different meaning. If code red, code blue, green, and yeah, I love using those. And then but I do transfer them into an org board, which is Trello, and that keeps me moving forward. But there's some sort of satisfaction of like when you do a task and you crumple up that piece of paper and you throw it in the trash. So I do love that.
Do you know what I love about that? And you actually is that it's like in one conversation within a 30-second transition, we're talking about the most powerful AI on the planet and sticky notes and how they both go hand in hand. Right.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
If that isn't the ability to change quickly and adapt, and I think that's absolutely amazing. So,
well, I mean, we'll never replace our like we can't. Even AI is pretty cool, but it will never replace us, right? It'll never replace the creativity aspect of the human. I don't, at least I don't think so. And that's where I think a lot of people are going to need to start focusing on. Yeah, really becoming creative, like becoming, and this is, so one thing I love about this is it's going to force people to stop recycling shit. Like you have to be creative. You have to design something completely new. So when we say USB, yeah, you have to create something that's unique.
Right.
And that's exciting about it too. It forces you to.
Yeah, I think it really forces neuroplasticity for all of us who are 40 and older, because everything shifted, and man, you got to get your head around where this whole new shift is happening and how you're going to use it creatively to build new and amazing projects.
Yeah. Copywriters should be scared though.
They're the first to go. Right. All right. So you're going to go into what you have coined the TCP time machine, which I think is excellent. We're bringing it back. If you could go back to the younger version of yourself, and I mean, I think you should go back to like that 2000, probably 2014 guy who, I will let you characterize him however you'd like to characterize him, but that younger guy who was, maybe in the hospital or whatever. What are you going to say to that guy?
I think there'd be two things, Kelly. First thing would be I would focus more on the relationships I was, and the connections. So all those people that I spoke to, yeah, I would probably, I would want to, instead of just creating and producing an interview and good, done, check the box, I'd want to maybe get to know those people a little bit better, and those conversations I would have gone deeper. So that's one thing. I think the other thing would have been, I would have been smarter with investing. So yeah, like I made a lot of money very quickly.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of money very quickly too. And no, I mean, and again, that's part of me of just being all, a lot of it was in business, and it's like all chips in. And I always felt myself as kind of like being experimental. I like to try things, and then what works, I would teach my clients and people who are in our programs. But yeah, like I blew through a lot of cash doing that, and cars and stuff. I couldn't even tell you how many cars I've bought and sold, man. Like, yeah, it was like heroin.
Yeah. So slow down, breathe a little bit more.
Yeah, I would focus on relationships, and and then the other thing is I would have been a little bit more intelligent. I would have got guidance, probably. I would have got someone to help me, look at how that money could help benefit my kids a little bit more in the future.
Yeah, right. I guess my next question on that is, I wonder if that guy would have listened.
Probably not.
Probably not. Right? Like I know myself, yeah, I could give myself great advice, but would I have actually listened at that time in my life? Because I know back then I thought I knew a lot.
Yeah. Well, my
Crazy.
ego was like, because like all of a sudden, like I got, yeah, when it was also part of like who I was with, like partnered with, but my ego was, yeah, wouldn't have allowed that. Right. So,
It's growth is a very, very interesting thing.
yep.
So 3 wrap-up questions for you. Who is the greatest influence on your person who you are today? Who has been?
You know, again, it's like the dichotomy, right? So like probably Garrett J. White. You know, I know like with Garrett and with Warrior, I don't know how many times I had to go, like, did I do Warrior Week 3 times? And then I did Warrior X, which was their 36-hour event. I mean, most guys, like there's guys who couldn't even finish one day. I went back 3 times. Then I did their cert and all that stuff. I just got the shit kicked out of me. And yeah, Garrett was a pretty powerful influence on me. You know, he allowed me to step into being a better man for my kids. But also that was part of what, you know, I remember like when I was going through that rough time with my now ex, and he left a message on Facebook Messenger and he just said, "Hey man, I knew this was coming." He's like, "I've known it from day one."
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd had a relationship, you know, coaching relationship with him for what, 2 or 3 years, but they allowed me to go through the process to get there. And I don't know if you know Warrior, but they never recommend anyone separate, divorce. But in this one case, it was definitely, they were saying, get out. Yeah, you know, for multiple different reasons. Yeah. Oh,
wow.
So that would be who it is. I mean, I could say it's my dad, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Okay. So then what would the best piece of advice be that you've ever received?
Oh man, that's so hard. Because like, I mean, with the podcast, I've had so many different people who have given incredible advice.
Right.
Best piece of advice would have to be, probably like Sam Falsafi. I mean, back to Warrior, right? And I think for me, with him, he had told me, like he told me, like he basically told me to stop coming, like so, well, actually, let me go back to this. Like, I remember walking up to him when I was at one of the conferences, and they launched their certification for Warrior, which we never really went through. Like, I mean, they had 1,200 guys sign up for that thing or something, but then it was basically a licensee to do your own Warrior events.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Sam, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I not do it? It was a massive investment. And he's like, yeah, you should do this. You should do this. And that was probably one of the best. He's like, you can do this. Like, and I think that I remember with Sam, he's always been in my corner. He's always been someone who says, you can do this. And even when I didn't think I could lead because there's a difference between interviewing and being, you know, a co-creator, right? This is a co-creation.
Yeah.
But leading other men, I mean, oh man, that's completely different. Right. So that was probably the best advice that I ever got, was like from another powerful man telling me that I was powerful too, and I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah. That program you also created was pretty amazing. I still don some of that gear.
Men of Iron.
Men of Iron. You created that program. That was a life changer for me as well. You know, absolutely amazing. So clearly your breadth of work is getting like bigger and bigger and bigger from, you know, go ahead.
The crazy story is, I'll tell you really quick. So right after that moment, and Sam said, you should do this. And I made this massive investment. I'm like, okay, I gotta make this money back. So, what other men paralyzed, right? They're like, teach me, show me, you know, waiting, give me the manual, like, give me a checklist. Whereas I immediately left that room after I signed the check, like check the box, gave my credit card. I left that room, pulled out my phone, and I started live saying, I'm launching, I called it Iron Mindset. And I started talking, and the more I'm talking, and people are like, yeah, we should do this. This is awesome. Yeah, let's do it. And I said the words, we're going to create these Men of Iron. And that's where Men of Iron came from. But originally it was Iron Mindset.
Right. Right.
And so
Wow.
I within 3 weeks, they had yet even to even launch any trainings. I was filling an event. Like you gotta like
Right.
execution, man. You gotta go. You gotta execute quickly.
Make it happen. And well, clearly that's been your history, right? Because that, I mean, to go from a chiropractic practice, from a hospital bed to coaching men on the beach, and if anybody's ever seen the videos are friggin' epic that, you created around that. People running in the water, in the ocean, rock climbing, all kinds of crazy things,
Oh, that's
and
great.
changing lives, right?
Yeah.
So like, and you created that, you marketed that, you sold that, right?
Yeah, I think
And
out of 1,200 guys, there were only 12 of us. They call us the Council of 12 because there was only 12 of us who really made a go of it. And so they kind of created like a marketing group, like an insight group, so they could learn what we were doing that worked, so they could try and teach other guys, but they could never teach other guys. They just couldn't make it work. I don't like that's in my opinion, that's why they kind of let it go. There was just not the guys had not been, like, I'd been through 3 warrior weeks. I'd been through a warrior, like I'd gone through the process of being physically broken and then built back up. They had to go through that before they could ever run an event. And the majority of them had never been through that.
dude, so you just said 1,200 started and 12 finished. That's 1%.
Well, I think all those guys graduated. They just couldn't make a business of it. They couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
1%.
Yeah. Well, that's typical though, isn't it?
I thought.
I mean, how many chiropractors?
I thought it was 80-20. I thought it was 80.
Well, I mean, chiropractors. I mean, there's a 1%, right? There's a 1% of docs probably making over 7 figures a year. Online business, same thing. I mean, all you got to do is make 6 figures online, and you're in the 1% a year. Like it's
wow. Okay. All right. So, what are you studying right now?
I'm actually gone. I went back to school, man. I'm in University of Calgary. So I'm taking marketing classes. I'm in a content marketing class right now. I failed my first assignment.
Yes. I love that.
I failed it. I passed my last course, but I failed this assignment. Yeah, you different prof. I didn't follow the APA guidelines on footnoting. I did it my own way because I'm 53 and I think I can do things the way I want to do it. So yeah, so I got like just a little bit below average, and I'm not concerned about it. I'm learning a lot. Like I'm a constant learner, but I'm like, oh my, like I was sitting here last night and I'm watching some of the trainings the lectures. I'm like, God, now I can see where there's gaps in my business. Things that I'm missing. And then that's going to help me be a better mentor, a better client too. So yeah, so that's what I'm learning right now.
I was expecting a book, maybe a listening to a podcast. So yeah, no, I'm doing an MBA program on the side. That's
yeah.
I should expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah, but it's the payoff, right?
Yeah.
You got to do something. You might as well be improving yourself.
Well, I've never had the formal education in marketing. I've just been intuitive. And now, and again, we are doing more of agency style stuff. So it's like, I really want to have a clear understanding of how, not just how to put together strategies that work for me, but work for a specific client. Because maybe what works for me won't work for that person, but I want to be able to see it from a different lens versus just going, hey, here's what should work, do a webinar and sell your stuff. There's other things that need to be considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any closing words, buddy? Anything you want to leave everybody
No, man,
with?
I'm just, I mean, I'm just really proud of you. I'd like to say that. I want to acknowledge you, Kelly. Like you're just, I've worked with a lot of people over a long time, and people probably don't know that you and I have history even before this, right? Like when I was in practice in St. Albert.
Right.
And, I just like, man, you're relentless. Like, and that's why I know like people like yourself you are successful, and will continue to be successful is because of the relentless attitude that you have of like putting your chips in there, and then you don't give up, man. Like it's the consistency, the relentlessness, boldness, I could say, is what makes you part of the 1%.
Wow.
So yeah,
dude, I appreciate you so much, brother. So much. Thank you so much, buddy. You have been, a mentor of mine. You've inspired me. You've taught me. You've led me. So it is an honor for me to carry the torch forward.
Yes.
And we will have you back frequently for updates and guest hosts to keep the drive alive, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait, man. Can't wait to listen and subscribe.
Right. Listen and subscribe, everybody. Listen and subscribe. Thanks, brother.